Good afternoon, gentlemen. It's Mr. O'Donnell here. It's great to be able to speak to you today and go through today's lesson. It will be a focus on assessment feedback. Most of you would have got your marks back last week with some comments from your teachers. We're going to go into that in a bit more detail, but also we're going to look ahead to what we're doing this half term with a small task at the end of this slide presentation. So I hope you're all well, gentlemen. As always, if you see anything in a green box, then that's the title that you need to write down. A blue box is an activity or task to complete, and anything in an orange box is a keyword or a quote that I think would make a really good piece of information for you, maybe later on in a question or later on in the year. So let's get started. In your books, please write assessment feedback and today's date, and we shall make a start. So as always, gents, we're going to start with a starter activity. So you need to pause the slideshow now. Just to point that out, gentlemen, please make sure you're using the pause feature. Don't just watch this whole thing through. Think it's about 15 minutes long. Let's just get through it. You need to pause it at certain intervals to complete the work to the required standard. So pause it now and let's get this done. Question 5 and 6, I've just noticed, have been sort of covered up by my initial there in the corner. Question 5 is list the 5 pillars of Islam. And question 6 is list 3 key events in the life of Jesus. So question 5 is list 5 pillars of Islam. Question 6, list 3 key events in the life of Jesus. Pause this screen now and give that a go. Okay, gentlemen. So your assessment feedback now. This doesn't apply to all of you, but it will apply to some of you. Standards. Gentlemen, I was very disappointed when going through some of the assessments to see answers such as this. Now, this gentleman who runs this answer, he's not the only one who's done this, but there is a small group of you who this is the level of effort that you put into your assessment. What that shows me is that you haven't watched the pre-assessment video that we made that gave you tips on how to do well in the assessment. It shows me that you haven't really revised and that you didn't really take the assessment seriously. Now, gentlemen, we know if you were in school with myself, Miss Day or Mr. Craig, that would not be an acceptable effort level. Just because we're not in school, gentlemen, doesn't mean we let our standards drop. Now, if you're not sure on a question, if you found the topic difficult, any of those things, then you contact a teacher. We're here to help. We're ready to respond to any queries that you've got. So, gents, please in future, get in contact with us. Ask for help rather than thinking, I just need to get this piece of work out of the way and submitting something that isn't of the required standard of a Fulham boy. So if you're in that minority, you look at your assessment and you know these are the sort of answers you've given, please take that bit of advice on board. For the rest of the year group, what went really well? A massively improved use of PEE structure, point, evidence, explain. It was really good to see, gentlemen, lots of you using that structure. And even if you weren't sure about a quote or an explanation, you gave it a really good go to ensure that what you provided the examiner was in that format, and that enabled you to get some good marks. And the explanations are beginning to develop. So at the start of year 7, our explanations, gents, were often just us repeating our point. Whereas now what we're starting to see is people provide that extra detail, show their understanding, and really basically show off to the examiner, I know what I'm talking about here, which is brilliant. Even better if EBI, boys, we need to work on our quotes. Now, I'm not massively concerned that we don't know the Tanakh off by heart. I don't think any of us ever will. But there are certain quotes that can help you massively now and in year 10 and 11 when we look at Judaism. And they were provided on the last video lesson that I made. They are available a few more later on in this lesson as well. Sorry about that. And so we need to work on learning our quotes, gents. It's a difficult thing to do. It's probably the most difficult thing to do in RE, to learn those quotes and where to apply them. But if we can get that right, we can ensure we're getting top marks as we go through the subject. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at an example of someone in your year who answered a question really well. We're going to look at what they did, why they were able to get the marks they did. And then after looking at a couple of examples, we're going to have a go at doing a 5-mark question as well. So here's example number 1. Explain 2 Jewish beliefs in God as one. As you can see, this student received 5 marks out of 5. And this is why. Excellent use of structure. Here's our point. A belief about God as one is that he should be first and no one should be before him. Excellent. Simple sentence, explains everything that we need at this stage. A quote to support this is, "You shall have no other gods before me." You can see here it's not a long quote, it's just a short quote. We've got 8 words there, but it's perfectly applicable. Okay, again, I've just shown the examiner. I know this is all about God being number one for the Jewish people. Therefore, a belief is that he is almighty and the most powerful, and no one deserves to be before him. The explanation is giving me a bit more detail and showing a level of understanding beyond what is mentioned in my point. PEE, really clear, really easy, really well answered. Second paragraph. Another belief is that he is the only one God. So he's the only God. In the Tanakh it says, "The Lord our God, the Lord is one." Again, an excellent quote, 7 words. This shows that Jews believe that there is only one true God and there will be only one God, and that he is the only God who should be worshipped. There's that extra bit of explanation that we need, that he's the only one who deserves to be worshipped. Okay, it's an explanation. Brilliant work. 5 marks out of 5. 2 very concise, well-worded, well-structured PEE paragraphs that have enabled this student to get 5 out of 5. So well done. Maybe at this point, gents, pause it, have a read through yourselves at your own pace. Notice where he starts and ends his point. Notice what quote he's used and how he's developed that in his explanation. So maybe pause it here, gents, have a look through and compare it to the answer you gave for the same question in your assessment. Okay, example number 2. Okay, this is a completely different student, so it's taken from another paper, not the same paper as example 1, and it's a different question. Explain 2 contrasting Jewish beliefs about the Messiah. Now, if you'd watched the pre-assessment video last term, you'd know that this word contrasting means different. So explain 2 different Jewish beliefs about the Messiah. So let's look at the structure again. PEE, is that what's there? One belief about the Messiah is that it will be a leader, or he will be a leader or a king that will bring peace among others. Okay, so there's our point, that there will be a leader or a king. Okay, in the Tanakh it says, "The days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, a king who will reign wisely." We need to end our quote there. The Orthodox Jews, now here's our explanation. We're showing that this view, this belief, belongs to a certain set of Jewish believers. The Orthodox Jews who believe this thinks that peace would be brought from a lone man. So here's the key, okay? A king or a leader, and it will be a lone man who brings in a period of peace. Okay, that's expanded on our quote. That would be from David, a righteous branch, a descendant of David. It's expanding on our point that he will be a leader or a king. And it's emphasizing that this is an Orthodox belief about it being a lone man. Okay, so our next paragraph cannot be an Orthodox belief because we're contrasting. We need to show a different belief. So a contrasting belief is that peace will be brought from the several communities working together. Okay, so peace will be brought from the Messiah, time of peace, several communities working together. A famous Tanakh quote says, "They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks." Okay, "Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." Now, just to say, this is a very long quote. You could have ended the quote after hooks. So the quote, "They shall beat their swords into plowshares and spears into pruning hooks," that would have been an excellent quote to use. And equally, you could use the second half of your quote as a standalone quote as well. "Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore." And he's saying this is a Reformed Jewish belief. The Reformed Jews that believe this think that peace will be delivered from communities big and small working together in harmony. Excellent. 5 marks out of 5. Now again, gents, pause it here and compare this answer and what this student has done well to what you've done. And think, okay, I've done this really well, but I haven't maybe included a quote to the same level, or maybe my explanation isn't as detailed. So just compare to and see how you could have done better. So pause it here, take your time to go back at your assessment, look at this example and see how you can do better. So what I want us to do now, gentlemen, is to have a go ourselves. So I want us all, even if you got 5 out of 5 or you got 0 out of 5 on that question, it doesn't matter at all. We're all going to try this question together. So explain 2 Jewish beliefs about God as lawgiver. So explain 2 Jewish beliefs about God as lawgiver. Okay. Now I'm going to supply you with some quotes to help you. You only need to use 2 of these 3. You don't need to use all 3, but they're going to help you to be the evidence in your PEE structure. And there's some sentence starters here for you as well. So one belief is that. Evidence sentence starter is in the Tanakh, it says. And the explanation, therefore Jews will, or this means that, would be another good way of starting that sentence. And we need 2 paragraphs. Now, gents, if you think of the examples we've just looked at, these aren't huge paragraphs. It's 3 or 4 sentences using the structure and providing detail where appropriate to get the maximum marks. So please pause it now and attempt to do this question. Take your time, take maybe 10 minutes to answer this, to make sure you've got the PEE structure and that you're happy with it, and that it is of the standard of some of the examples we've looked at before. If at this point in the lesson you are not sure how to do it, pause it, open your emails, email your class teacher, whether that is myself, Miss Day, or Mr. Craig, or when we come in for the drop-in session this week, when you can come and ask your questions, come prepared with this question. Maybe come with a draft answer that you've written and ask, sir, miss, is this what we're looking for? And we'll be able to give you feedback there and then. But please give it a go. Take your time, maybe 10 minutes, and answer this question. Okay, gents, that's brilliant. The last task for today's lesson, and this is a really quick task, okay, is we're going to be doing an independent project in RE this half term, okay? And as a little bit of initial research to get us started, I want you to go away today and identify, create a list of the main world religions today. Then I want you to find out about some of the lesser known religions in the world today. Again, make just a list of those religions. And then I want you to compare and contrast, which means shows the similarities and the differences about some of the main beliefs of the religions that we've already studied this half term. So for example, we might say Judaism is a monotheistic religion. They believe in one God. Whereas Hinduism is polytheistic. They believe in lots of gods. That would be a contrast. That would be a difference. So just little things like that, little sentences showing similarities and differences. Maybe you want to put it in a table of the main world religions. So 3 things you need to do: a list of the main world religions today, a list of some of the lesser known religions, and then just compare and contrast some main beliefs of the religions that we've studied. And then next lesson this week, I'll go into more detail about what we need to do. So that's your last task of the day. Enjoy doing that, gents. I think this is going to be a really good project. I can't wait to get stuck into it with you and see some of the work that you produce. So enjoy the rest of your day, gentlemen, and I hope